Hello everyone, you welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babde Jonathan. In our top stories, tonight, national honors have been paid to the late business tycoon and member of the Central Committee of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, and of course Mayor of Bana in the west region of the country, late Kaji de Fosso Victor. He was during a pontifical mass today at the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral here in the economic capital, Douala. That mass was presided over by His Lordship Samuel Kleda. He is the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church and the President of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon. And in a similar story, world leaders and royalties paid their last respect to one of Africa's most famous diplomats, Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations Organization. His funeral took place today in his home country, Ghana. A pontifical mass was organized today at the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, in honor of the mortal remains of late business tycoon and member of the Central Committee of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM, a political party, Kaji de Fosso Joseph, who died in South Africa. And during that pontifical mass were present the Senate President Marcelin Adjifenji, Special Representative of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, as well as the Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese, His Eminence Christian Cardinal Tumi, and other dignitaries. That pontifical mass was presided over by His Lordship Samuel Kleda, Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church and President of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon. For me, Armstrong Sander, Files and Details.
A pontifical requiem mass offered for the repose of a man whom, according to His Lordship Samuel Kleda, Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese, fulfilled his mission by a positive use of his talents, which consequently created an impact in the lives of many people in Cameroon, Africa, and the world. Chairing the solemn pontifical requiem mass organized at the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral here in the nation's economic capital, Douala, Bishop Samuel Kleda told the hundreds of mourners, among whom the personal representative of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Marcelin Adjifenji, that he who dies in Jesus lives. He challenged those present to always be ready to meet God, their Creator, for eternal life. To him, the best gift to offer to Papa Kaji de Fosso is to pray for the repose of his soul in the bosom of the Lord. As one man, mourners and family members all join in spirit to pray for the departed patriarch. After the spiritual exercise, family members, colleagues, friends, and many people he impacted say Papa Joseph Kaji de Fosso lives in them forever.
Well, this is a man that has lived an exemplary life. We are only saying farewell to him. We are saying bye-bye to him. He's gone, and he's gone forever. That's part of life, but there's a difference between somebody coming to life and not serving humanity, and a difference in somebody who has spent all his life to pay tribute to others and to ensure that he established something that will guarantee continuity. We are only going to build on his legacy to ensure that the empire continues and the empire lives on forever.
We've lost a visionary, an African visionary, a Cameroonian visionary, a guy who really stamped his authority and his own mark on Made in Cameroon. So we're all very sad. As a Kenyan myself, I have to say, and as a Pan-Africanist, it's also a very sad moment for me. Somebody that we've heard of since I was young in business school. So I'm really humbled to be able to represent the Business Association, to represent all alcohol producers, Femencam, UCB, SABC, Guinness, and Sauvavin. And we will accompany the family and give all our assistance where possible.
The pontifical mass of the late Joseph Kaji Defosu, which is part of the state burial declared by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, brought together people of diverse social ranks. The program will run till Saturday, September 15, 2018.
Family members of the 20-year-old young man shot dead by a female gendarme officer in Mabanda in the Douala 4 subdivision continue mourning the loss, and they have launched a legal action in view of getting justice in the case, as EQUINOXE reports.
Family members, friends and sympathizers continue mourning 20-year-old Xavier Darren Lowe, killed by gendarme bullets Friday, September 7, 2018, around John White in Mabanda Bonaberi in the Douala 4 municipality. It has brought sleepless nights to relatives, especially to Jules Lowe, father of the deceased first child.
Perdre un enfant n'est pas facile.
It is not easy to lose a child. It is a big blow to a man. My son left the house. About 11 minutes later, I was informed he was shot dead. I have put everything in God's hands.
Je ne crois qu'à la justice et je remets tout entre les mains de Dieu.
Xavier Darren Lowe was shot dead by a gendarme woman of that neighborhood, as reported by eyewitnesses and friends of the 20-year-old.
Ce jour, aux environs de 10 heures, nous étions à la salle de game.
We were in a game hall and later joined by Darren, who was from paying his school fees. The serviceman immediately left and alerted the gendarme element of the arrival of Darren, he had termed a criminal. Upon arriving, the two gendarmes intimidated my friend, my brother, with a gun.
Elle demande à sa collègue que j'espère que tu as bien chargé l'arme comme il était demandé.
One of the gendarmes asked the colleague with a gun to execute.
Sa collègue a dit que ce n'est pas ce qu'on est venu faire ici là. Elle s'est mise à refuser les 2 balles.
Darren tried to escape. Unfortunately, he was gunned down in the labs and chest region.
C'est là où elle s'est mise à la prière, à tirer la première balle au niveau de la côte. Et directement, elle charge encore la deuxième balle.
We equally learned that the corpse of Darren was not allowed to be touched by the population that gathered and was threatened.
C'est là où ils ont vite porté le corps pour mettre le taxi pour fuir avec.
According to Jules Lowe, his son carried no weapon and it was fake allegation by gendarmes.
Tous les témoins, vous êtes allés sur les lieux du crime.
He says his first son was not a hoodlum. He was a student, though heady at home like any other child in the quarter.
Et c'était un élève en plus.
On tue Darren pourquoi? Darren n'a jamais entré dans la maison de quelqu'un dans ce quartier.
Only nightmares make up his dreams.
Tu ne peux pas dormir normalement quand tu penses que le corps de ton fils est dans un frigo. C'est impossible.
Reason why he has decided to file a complaint to the court for his son's killers to be brought to book and punished accordingly.
Et le Cameroun est un pays de droit. Je pense que on arrivera au fin et on va punir tous les coupables.
Darren's grandmother demands nothing else but her grandson, who has been taking care of her.
Comme dans mon enfant. Mais voici, je suis malade. C'est Darren qui me conduit à l'hôpital.
Deceased Darren Xavier Lowe, 20 years old, is now lying in the morgue of the Bonasama District Hospital in Bonaberi, Douala 4, pending burial. Consternation still looms in the quarter, and his family and sympathizers continue mourning his shocking death.
31 years down memory lane after the book Communal Liberalism was published by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya. The book has been re-edited, and the new version of the book carries the picture of the President of the Republic smiling on the front page. The picture is different from the one that was on the former version or the first version of the book, and this has left observers questioning whether this is intentional. Some are even interpreting it as a campaign strategy. Franklin Mwabe.
The book Communal Liberalism, authored by Cameroon's head of state Paul Biya, was famous in the 1980s. In the book, the head of state Paul Biya introduced the advent of multipartism, which became effective in 1990 after he ruled for 1 year with the one-party system put in place by his predecessor Amadou Ahidjo. In the book Communal Liberalism, the head of state explains his desire for economic liberalism and private initiative while advocating for national solidarity, equitable distribution of the fruits of economic growth, social justice, the emergence of the culture of creativity, and peaceful coexistence of values specific to the various communities that make up a nation. As time wind up, the book lost its flair. It was during the time the book was published that the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party, CPDM, was born in March 24, 1985. 31 years later, the book is re-edited and the editor Marcel Fabre receives a Medal of Honor. The content of the new edition has not changed, but the picture of the head of state Paul Biya has changed. With regards to the electoral process marked for the 7th of October 2018, some observers have interpreted the smiling picture of the head of state Paul Biya on his new edition of Communal Liberalism as a campaign strategy.
Economic and financial experts in Africa are mapping out strategies to enhance or better still speed up the economic growth or better still the industrialization drive of the African continent. They are meeting here in the economic capital Douala within the framework of intentions or efforts to enhance economic growth in African countries, precisely those in the Central African sub-region. We have details in this report. Calls for Africa's industrialization have been stronger than ever before lately. Industrialization is one of the most talked about subjects among policymakers across the continent. But action on the ground is yet to produce concrete and far-reaching results on this important development marker.
Policymakers are mindful of the need to industrialize. We're trying to take the right action. We also face some external shocks. This is also linked with the dependency in commodity product. When you export commodity products, you are regularly faced with external shock. When the price goes down, your revenues also go down.
And to move African countries from production to transformation requires huge financial investments, which are difficult to be obtained, even from commercial banks.
I don't think commercial banks, with the product they are using to finance the economy, are actually fit to finance a sound and a robust industrialization process as we are expecting one in Cameroon. Why? Because, of course, people say, and it's obvious, that there are idle resources in banks, but those resources are all short meaning that they are left there or they are available there, but will be very soon called or collected by those who left them there.
According to experts who met in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, Thursday, natural resources will be a springboard from where the continent's industrialization drive could take off.
Africa, especially, particularly Central African countries, should base their industrialization process on their natural resources. We know that there is a huge potential in terms of natural resources. So this is what we are promoting, the exploitation of natural resources, trying to grow and first of all to promote the insertion into regional and global value chains, and also try to grow in those value chains, not to remain at the very level of still exporting commodities. So we're promoting transformation.
Meantime, industrialization has been a campaign promise across Africa, with its acknowledged ability to bring prosperity, new jobs, and better income for all. Yet, the continent is less industrialized today than it was 4 decades ago. The contribution of Africa's manufacturing sector to the continent's gross domestic product declined from 12% in 1980 to 11% in 2013, where it has stagnated for the past years. The Bishop of the Nkonsamba Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church in Cameroon has urged education stakeholders in that part of the country to do their best to ensure that they produce better results this 2018-2019 academic year. He was speaking during a meeting on the online registration that has been put in place by the Ministry of Secondary Education this academic year. Inosinazi has more.
The academic year is now 2 weeks old. Registration of students has not been easy because of the complex procedure of the online registration system. Most parents, like in Konsamba in the Mongo division of the littoral region, are yet to have their children registered. Those who are yet to do so complain of complexity and time-consuming procedure, which is unfavorable to a busy parent.
S'ils ont décidé comme ça, moi je trouve qu'il n'y a pas de problème à ça.
Others describe it as hectic, but note it is better to pay the school fees in the bank and that they will adapt gradually.
Nous-mêmes les parents, nous ne sommes pas fiers. Ça nous prend un peu du temps, mais on va s'adapter.
Another says the new system provides more security.
Il y a la sécurisation, mais c'est pénible pour certains.
During a back-to-school meeting organized by His Lordship, Bishop Jodene Espoir Atangana of the Nkonsamba Diocese, grouping educational stakeholders, participants were instructed on how to go about the new enrollment process.
Après étude du dossier,
according to DJ Wafo, a school vice principal, parents must first and foremost bring files of their children for examination, then ordered to go and pay the school fees at a prescribed bank. They are then expected to return to the institution with a receipt which is used to register the child.
Nous l'inscrivons au collège.
The bishop reminded parents that though the procedure is strenuous and complex, it greatly secures money and corruption buried.
Que disparaisse toute attitude liée à la corruption.
Students who have successfully registered
will host encounters, training sessions, players, supporters, and of course spectators in general, including team officials as well, are ready ahead of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. Today, the governor of the central region of the country was at the construction site in Olembe, where the Paul Biya Olembe Stadium is under construction, and he noted with satisfaction that construction works are advancing at a considerable pace. He, however, urged the construction company to step up efforts to ensure that the December deadline is respected. Greater details now in this extract of the project controller Benoit Fabre.
We complete 100% of the structure, and now we can work in all the lots of the stadium. Means all finishing, so all partition, all facades, all windows, the seats, and so on. So now all is almost open, so we can work in all directions now. There is no works which prevent to go ahead. So this is the difference. Before July, we did not complete the structure, so we cannot do everything. So now we, as you can see, in the presidential stand, we already complete the technical lots at the level 0. We almost complete in 1 week all the partition. So now the works are going faster and faster, because instead of to work on one way, we work on maybe 10 ways now.
And are you reassuring the government that you deliver the goods?
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That did for the first segment of this newscast. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks for joining us in Talking Points. We're going to be talking about hate speech in the Cameroonian media, a phenomenon that has been growing over the years with damaging consequences. And of course, we'll also be looking at fake news with a journalist from the Cameroon Radio Television, CRTV. Charles Abuna, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
You've been observing the recent evolutions in the media in Cameroon, and you've noticed, like me, that hate speech is growing in the media today. What's your take on this?
Well, it's quite worrying and it's quite preoccupying, but let me just start with maybe an anecdote, and which of course is a real-time anecdote. There was a time that there was a video circulating across the world where there were Palestinian children in a class, and it was a mathematics lesson, and the students were asked that 3 minus 3, and nobody provided the answer. But when the teacher turned the question this way, that if you have 3 Israeli soldiers in front of you and you kill all the 3, what will be the answer? And everybody said 0. Now from there, you deduce 2 things. First, it shows you the degree of animosity or hatred between the both communities, and then second, it shows you how hate speech is being developed, and that is gradually entering into the Cameroonian media space, be it television, be it radio, or be it the cyberspace, where some people are unable to accommodate the views of others. And I should equally record that hate speech is simply attacks on a person or a group of people based on their origin, based on their religion, based on their size, based on their sex, and based on their nationality or their professional background. For example, if somebody tells you that you cannot work on television because your body is too small, that is an insult, that is a hatred against you. So you should complain about whether the person is competent or incompetent. The issue is not where you come from, or let me say from the far north, you studied in English and they tell you that you can't operate here because you speak in English or French. The issue should be, is that person speaking good English or French? That should be the issue.
Now, the problem is even more critical at this point in time because of the socio-political atmosphere in Cameroon today, precisely looking at the Anglophone problem, which has to an extent escalated because of hate speech propagated by some journalists and some individuals through the media, the audiovisual and the print media as well.
Absolutely, because people feel that we are in the era of populism, and people feel that it is by becoming popular that they will carve a space or a name in society, and that is why you see the rubbish, excuse me, that expression that we see across the lines on statements that are unfortunate, and the regulators really need to work extremely on that, because you are just talking about hate speech, which is spread everywhere on social media. I was just watching the news a few days ago, and I realized that Facebook executives closed the Facebook accounts of some Burmese or Myanmar generals who spread fake news and hate speech through social media. And I asked myself the same question, but these same Facebook executives are very much aware of Cameroonians who are using Facebook or Twitter to spread fake news, and they can equally close the account. And I think that is what the issue is today, because it's quite easier to do that on radio or on online than to do it on radio and television or the newspaper.
And the National Communication Council has been talking on this, has been doing a lot to curb, or why not eradicate hate speech in the audiovisual and as well as the print media, but very little is done as far as the social media is concerned.
Yes, because we need to adapt our laws to meet the exigencies of cyber communication, which is gradually mainstreaming into the Cameroonian media space. Because for long, the main channel of communication has been radio, television, and the newspaper, Cameroon Tribune, the Herald, CRTV, EQUINOXE, and whatsoever. But today, the laws we have did not factor YouTube, did not factor Facebook did not factor Twitter, did not factor eBay. It's true that the 2010 electronic law handles some of the issues, but we need a comprehensive text or framework on that, just like the way we were tackling terrorism in 1997, in 2001, is not the way we are tackling it in 2016, because in the United States, before the 9/11 attacks, there was no U.S. Patriot Act because they had not had that massive destruction by terrorism. Now, when that happened, we had it. So you saw that when Boko Haram came in, the famous Boko Haram law, or the law on terrorism, was passed in 2014. That provided the new benchmark on how we need to react as a community. But that should equally happen with the case of fake news, and that is where the seminar or event organized in Yaoundé a few days ago by the National Communication Council is good, so that they can get views across the board. They should work with journalists, editors, media gurus, and government officials, so that when we produce a comprehensive text, everybody will be identified.
And just like hate speech, fake news is spreading like wildfire today, especially on the internet, because of the growing phenomenon of citizen journalists. People, everybody wants to become a journalist today, posting, publishing just everything they get.
Well, you're absolutely correct, but you see, most people accuse me of not being hard on social media, because a lie told on television is as dangerous as a lie told on social media. It's true that the rate at which it is spread on social media is so fast, because the good thing with social media is that there is a possibility of liking, of sharing, of viewing it, and of liking it. Now, let me just give you a classical example. We are in 2016, and the Leave the European Union campaign, insofar as Brexit is concerned, produced a fantastic lie, saying that, oh, look, if we don't leave the European Union, the NHS, the National Health Service, pays 350 million pounds or euros weekly to the European Union. So such stories of lies telling, you can go on. Hillary Clinton sitting in a pizza gate somewhere in Washington eating human flesh. You can go on and on and on, and you cite them. So fake news today is greatly associated with conspiracy theories that virtually are not correct. Let me just give you an example. I hear a few people say that, well, in the former British, in the former West Cameroon, we used to elect our prime ministers. I said, but wait a minute. From 1960 to 1965, Foncha was a prime minister appointed by Ijo. From then, Joa was a prime minister appointed by Ijo. Muna was a prime minister appointed by Ijo. So who was that prime minister who was elected? Because Article 39 of the Federal Constitution indicated that the federated prime ministers will be appointed by the President of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. So when you bring those lies and you confuse maybe some people who don't know the truth, because fake news today is for mercantilic reasons, for economic reasons, because you want to sell an agenda, for political reasons, because you have a story to tell. And since we are living in the era of populism, like I indicated, where people seek to be popular instead of being credible. But like the former Nigerian Minister of Information, Edem Duke, told me in 2015, the best thing you can offer yourself is truth. And this is what is said. Why the truth?
Unfortunately, the lies are just spreading even more than the truth.
Absolutely.
But the real problem is that the National Communication Council is not doing enough, especially on social media.
The National Communication Council cannot do enough, because we need to rework our social communication law. The French have done that. The Germans have done that. The Americans are doing that after all the troubles of the 2016 election. Gambia is working on that to produce a comprehensive. Today, if you go to Tanzania,
so it's a problem of political will today.
I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken, it should be in Uganda or one country, Benin, in West Africa, where today you need to pay using social media for if you spread lies. Especially, there needs to be some regulation. But for that regulation to happen, you need laws. But let me just conclude maybe with a statement I wanted to make. Truth struck 100th time, end uprising, because the eternal age of time belongs to truth. So no matter how you tell lies, cause chaos in society, you end up facing the truth, facing the law. Remember that the crimes committed by Adolf Hitler in 1945 on the Jews still pursue.
Yes, the consequences of course will be there, even if you still face the truth tomorrow. But the consequences would have been there. Thanks.
And I think that one element that we need to do, the community of good journalists, including yourself, should be more there giving information, because we have given the space, sorry for the expression, as some people will call it, charlatans for too long to feed the masses with wrong information, and we need to act on that quickly.
The charlatans have to quit the noble profession. Thanks, Charles EBUNE, for coming. You're a journalist with the Cameroon Radio Television.
You're welcome.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.